We apologize for not being able to bring you that story earlier. Let's bring you some other stories. And some residents of Wale Wale in the West Mamprusi district are protesting the ongoing construction of the township roads over concerns that the contract is using substandard building materials for the construction. Led by the assemblyman for the Kuku-Azugu electoral area and some opinion leaders, the residents are also accusing the contractor of unnecessary delays and shoddy work. Elias Utanko has more.
He's our point of maluma baman kashima maluma budrosunga ego haban pilka malgo halenta zangolgna barato ane ka start la pa wontina ohoro waka bachana kev ka ko gota da babnan tut gota suma onu ko ma dola tiya bela ko man.
We are not happy with the way this road is being constructed. The contractor is doing something different from what they told us during the series of community engagement before the start of the project. Our houses are falling every time it rains. The contractor is back again, laying only cheap base and not half. So we are out to stop him to do the right thing. We want him to stop.
Bila bwasona kuna tongar pawo kena chane nga anwo alaji rashid ninja tligarmanti antiti katuguri ni chana mati ninja anti ina hadano suna ina chana pawo chamna ninja idagbanwo nyindo bena furma eminatu ngona tebe fura katuguri ni chana amma to so ntiti chana nka yoru ka jala karamanti ka tando biani yaye na turu twasi
soro malgoma teshe yungu kawara kilka ami bam tuma iya pilu tuma ka pila un tangbe yungu ka gotas ka ko pin ka yungu do ka ko niya sungu na mat surma to ka mar
you don't understand why the contractor only works in the night because of his diabolical intent to do shoddy work.
Quality
we are admonishing the contractor to change his wicked intent and do a good work for us.
You can see the whole road has been deteriorated in and out. So in order to look at it from the other point of view, what my electors are complaining of is that they don't see the difference between the old one and what he is coming back to do on this new one too. So it's all the same thing. The same thing that he came and did. After pouring the bitumen, he added the chippies on it. That was the same. Now he's back again, sweeping the whole ground to add another thing again, without even taking draconian time to even patch those particular potholes and pour that particular on bitumen and the chippies on it. So where are we now? So as he's doing what he's doing currently, we are able to get a shoddy job. If you climb at the top, before around the post office side, you realize that even the state of the roads, some are not even covered. Now he has succeeded in zooming the road in a way, the chippings, that particular middle of the road, leaving both sides. So now, who is going to now fill the other side again too? The chippings you are even pouring on it, it's not even properly mixed.
Now, the government says this year roads agenda is impeded by unauthorized construction and building in designated road construction sites. Deputy Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwabna also Adomi, says the practice, if not stopped, will continue being a disincentive to development. Prince Apia has more.
The NPP government last year declared 2020 as the year of roads. Officials say some communities are yet to benefit because they have many unauthorized buildings sitting in road construction paths. Sector Minister Kwabna Owusu-Ediomi warns the practice must stop.
The challenges that I'm having and the people are having is that some of their building structures are in the roadway, are within the roadway. Usually pillars are installed to show where your plot ends. There are some people who go beyond where the pillars have been put up. The pillars, you can easily move it. You move it and come in the roadway and fix another pillar. But whenever the roads are to be done, the general plan is there. When you go to the assemblies, they have the general layout. So when the assembly officers come and they put the layout there, they put their tips, they will realize that you have taken part of the road for your property. And this is the problem. At times, it's selfishness. So we are appealing to everybody who is having a building structure in the roadway to allow us to take it off so that we can have our road through, so that we do not impede the progress of work so far that the contractor is moving on with these projects.
Mr. Diomi was opening a new market for the Asotwe community in the Juso municipality.
I realized that my market women, my mothers and my sisters were suffering too much in the sun and in the rain. So I decided to now start with the sheds, speed up with it, complete it, bring them in, then I move back to the stores to complete them.
Traders were left at the mercy of the weather, putting them under health and sanitation risk. Queen Mother of the Asotwe Market, Abna Educhumwa, is excited by the project. Mr. Diomi, who is a member of parliament for the area, also opened a 50-seater toilet facility for the Abnase community in the Juso municipality. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has completed the corruption risk assessment conducted into government's transaction with the Ejapa Minerals Royalties Limited. According to his office, the process was concluded as far back as October 15 and had forwarded findings of same to the Presidency and the Finance Ministry on October 16. In August this year, the OSP, as part of its mandate, requested from the Finance Ministry documents regarding the Special Purpose Vehicle, SPV, which helped the country secure about $1 billion to finance infrastructural projects. This follows criticisms from civil society organizations about red flags in the transaction. On a press release today, Martin Amidu said his office could not continue withholding the announcement of the completion of its report to the public. We've been joined by the head of one of the CSOs which raised questions about the deal, Ben Boache, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Mr. Boache, were you aware prior to Mr. Amidu's release that the corruption risk assessment had been completed?
We had heard, some snippets of information that, that report had been submitted, but we were only waiting to have that confirmation or demand, for that to be done. Unfortunately, the Special Prosecutor came out himself to actually indicate that, the report had been submitted to the President and the Finance Minister.
So now that that report has been submitted, what is your expectation from the Finance Ministry and the Presidency?
We wait to hear what the details are. I think we've only had some media reports on what the President's action is for some agreements to go back to Parliament. We don't know what specific agreements are going to go back to Parliament. But it is important for accountability that we're getting some results for some of the documents to be reopened for discussion. That provides, space for us to make inputs at the parliamentary level. And we would hope that it's not going to be another rush through Parliament, but we would be allowed to submit memoranda, analysis, introspection of all the processes that we want to get into, so that we can guarantee the interest of the state. And I think essentially this is what we're hoping we can generate from this new directive.
With 35 days to go to the election, Mr. Boache, would you advise, for instance, that this deal is left for the next Parliament to deal with?
We can have the discussion. We can continue to govern our country to see what is best for Ghana. If we think that the mineral revenues can generate some resources for us to develop our country, we should structure it right. We should look at all the options that could ensure that we are actually optimizing the royalties and not a structure that is really much difficult to appreciate. So the discussion can be ongoing, whilst we go through the election, and then maybe next year, if we have a firm decision on what is good for Ghana, we can proceed with it.
Right. So you would advise then that we proceed with caution and perhaps promulgate this deal next year?
I think we can go on. It's a conversation. So the earlier we start the conversation, the better. And I think once we have this directive and we know that some documents will be going to Parliament, I mean, civil society, we are not going to wait whether there's an election or not. We're going to start writing. We're going to start putting pieces together so that we can inform the discussion, inform citizens about what needs to go into such an agreement to ensure that people benefit. Now, that is essentially what we will be doing, waiting whatever decision government decides to take. Because ultimately the decision will be that of government, whether to decide to proceed or not to proceed. But we are going to start engaging around the issues, analyzing facts that could be important for future decisions around such an agreement.
Now, the Finance Minister has had this corruption risk assessment report since the 16th of October. So has the presidency. In your view, have they moved fast enough to react to Mr. Amidu's findings? I'm sure maybe the report wasn't too good for the ministry. If it was, it would have been out. For example, if they had had the clearance to go ahead with a transaction, I'm sure the whole world would have known. So we would need to know the content of that report, what was the specific highlights of that report. And that also informs the kind of analysis that we'll do. It informs the strategy that will be used to engage around these issues to ensure that we protect the interests of the country. Have you made an official request for a copy of that report? No, we just had the official announcement today. So, will you be making that request? I mean, it's a broader civil society conversation. We're a coalition, so we would converge and see what next steps there are, and we would take them as we agree. Thank you very much, Mr. Boakye, for joining us. Ben Boakye, of course, Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, one of the 30 civil society organizations that raised questions about the Ejapa deal. We move to other stories. Our current active cases are not at all an indication of how many positive cases we have in this country. This is according to immunologist Dr. Yalbediako of the West Africa Center of Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens. And Dr. Yalbediako says government's protocol for testing has seriously shifted to only seriously symptomatic persons from general testing as a result of contact tracing. He added that the decline in the number of cases is not a reflection of a disease under control, but a reflection of our current testing. He's been speaking to our Bernice Abubedulanta on News Desk about the fear of a potential second wave.
You are actively testing for it. And in the beginning of the pandemic in Ghana, we were very aggressive in testing. We had a mass contact tracing exercise, mass testing. And so we really went after looking for these cases. Now, in subsequent months, our approach has changed. The guidelines in terms of testing have now shifted. So now we are focusing on seriously symptomatic people. And so that, many of us have been saying the decline in cases is not a reflection of the fact that the virus is under control. It is simply a reflection of the fact that our testing protocols have changed. So now our testing is focused on people who are symptomatic. We are not going out to test contacts. Now, part of the rationale for that has been the cost of the test and the fact that it would appear as though the case fatality rates in Ghana are lower than they are in other places. And so the argument has been how many resources do we put into mass testing? But that point well taken, it also means that we cannot therefore place a lot of stock in the fact that we have 300 active cases or now we have about 500 active cases. That is not an indication of how much COVID is in Ghana. That is simply an indication of how many people we've tested. So studies like this are much better indicators of the burden of disease. And I believe actually the Ghana Health Service is about to start a seroprevalence study of their own.
Now, in February this year, we told you the story of an assemblyman who was dedicating his life to crisis. Many residents in Asafo Kumasi were suffering in silence. Now, desilting choked gutters is what I mean. Video journalist Ernest Okai and his devoted friends desilted choked gutters at the time to provide great relief to residents. JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports one of the greatest dreams of the Asafo Assembly member has finally been realized after 8 months of clearing garbage in choked gutters. First, let's recount how Mr. Okai and his team were desilting gutters in the electoral area.
Ernest Okai seems to know firsthand the anguish of not having a proper sanitation system, and now that he has won an assembly election, he is dedicating his life to a crisis many residents have suffered in silence. Choked gutters are not just complications, they bring many problems that impact negatively on the lives of people.
This time around, we decided to come to Asafo Market because of our drainage system. So we are embarking on this exercise to make sure that all the drainage system within the market is cleared, because very soon we are going to experience the rain, or there's going to be a rainfall. If you don't do this, there's going to be a severe rainstorm in the market. So we decided to embark on this cleanup exercise.
That was how JoyNews reported the story of Assembly member for Asafo electoral area in Kumasi. But today, Ernest Okai has realized one of his dreams, setting up of plastic collection center in the electoral area.
Amen. Good. We've been able to collaborate with Environment 360 and KMA Waste Management Department to put up this structure. In fact, this structure is going to help us in managing our plastic waste in this electoral area. And going forward, it's not only going to help this electoral area, Kumasi as a whole. So we are entreating the residents that when you finish drinking your water, don't throw the bottle away. Make sure that you pile up it somewhere and bring it here.
The 10-ton capacity plastic collection facility is expected to deal with plastic waste. A target of 2 tons per day is likewise expected to be realized. This means that the facility will reach its capacity in 5 days. By December 2020, the facility might have collected at least 122 tons of plastic waste. Ernest wants the best of both worlds: clean environment and job creation.
At the end of the day, when you are going from here, you will get money. So 1 is going to serve as a source of employment, and 2 is going to help us to clean our environment. So this, in short, is what necessitated for construction of this Asafo. But our environment must be clean. And we also entreat the KMA Waste Management Department to put up effort, or to step up their effort in making sure that our metropolis is the center of filth.
Nana Kobina Asante is a project manager of Environment 360.
So what we intend to do is to get rid of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, all plastic bottles, all plastic waste in the system. We know we generate a lot of plastic waste, but we've realized in Ghana we don't do much recycling, so we are trying to inculcate the habits of recycling.
Waste collection and management are essential public services for every community, necessary for the protection of public health and the environment. Within the current global policy frameworks, waste service prominently feature in the targets and indicators of both SDG 11 and SDG 12, notably with commitment to prevent, reduce, recycle and reuse, as well as to properly collect and discharge waste by 2030. The facility, financed by GIZ through the German federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia, is one of the several steps to realize universal access to sustainable waste management system in the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now, with the National Farmers' Day celebration scheduled to take place this Friday, a 68-year-old farmer in the Techiman North District, Mamiekia Sewa, has called on governments to provide irrigation services to vegetable farmers to aid year-round farming. The former Best District's female farmer also expressed worry at the rate at which young women are moving away from the farming trade. Correspondent Anna Sabet visited her at her farm They came through with this.
Born in the year 1952, Mame Ekuyasewa, popularly known as Master Medase, here in Chobodom, have been farming for over 5 decades. She shared with me how she got into the farming business and how helpful the farming trade has been to herself and then her children.
My
father was a teacher, but I was not destined to follow his steps. Farming has helped me a lot. I take care of my family and the kids' school fees through what I get from farming. I am blessed with brilliant children too. And I'm able to seek for loans from the banks to pay for my children's school fees because I have a cashew farm. In relation to women in agriculture, she's quite worried with the fact that the youth of today are not so much into the agribusiness. She wishes most of them would do away with the flamboyant lifestyles and then get into agriculture, which according to her is the most lucrative business. I'm surprised at the fact that the female youth are not into farming. They adopt several lifestyles and go about risking their lives without working. Mame Ekuyasewa is, however, pleased with the decision by authorities to celebrate farmers annually. However, for her, that could even be done quarterly, that is in 3 months basis, because the Farmers' Day celebration is a very huge source of motivation for herself and then other farmers across the country. I wish it was not celebrated annually. At least, farmers should be celebrated every 3 months so we know the relevance of farmers. I get motivated by the awards and wish they always visit my farm. Also, Mame Ekuyasewa tells me successive governments should think of providing irrigation services or make water available for them so they will be able to do farming all year round. That, according to her, would help improve the status of farmers across the country. There is a river here called Triku. We wish they could do something about it so we get water to use during the dry season. That would help us a lot to do an all year round farming, and in return, there will be food all the time. Even though she feels the farming trade is the most lucrative business, she's however worried the fact that sometimes their farm produce goes waste because there are no buyers. So Mame Sewa tells me government should focus on providing factories, or better still, cooled houses that will preserve their farm produce so it will not go waste after harvest. There are moments we don't get buyers. If we have storage facility, that would help us and prevent our produce from going waste. Farmers run at loss as a result of this because we earn very little from the buyers. So this is the situation here ahead of this year's 36th National Farmers' Day. We've been engaging Mame Ekuyasewa here in Triku, a suburb of Chobodom in the Bono East region. My name is Anna Sabit for Joy News.
Now, exactly a year ago, Joy News shared the story of mango farmers in the Kintampo North and South municipalities in the Bono East region who were battling to control mango bacteria black spot disease. Hundreds of them have had to prune hectares of mango tree crop and apply chemicals as part of bacterial infection control measures. Now, the good news is that some farmers are gradually gaining grounds on the disease, resulting in the loss of thousands of cedis. Now, JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has gone back and reports that farmers are getting actual 5 tons per acre.
For the first time in many months, 60-year-old Emmanuel Sapon is happily harvesting his mango fruits.
You know, when we started, the BBS problem wasn't, it wasn't any problem because there wasn't any BBS problem. So we were just harvesting. But when it came for maybe 8 years ago, before we realized the whole fruits will be dropped. Maybe from May, you will see that the fruits will start dropping. So by June, you won't get anything. So you need to harvest earlier. And those times too, the fruits that you can sell is very cheap because the factories will not come to buy. You only sell to the local markets, which is very cheap. They even buy under 1 kilo will be sold at maybe 50 pesos or even less than that.
The mango bacterial black spot disease attacked the 10-acre mango farm, and attempts to control the disease resulted in no positive results. Mr. Sapon was only able to harvest less than 2 tons for an acre instead of actual 5 tons. So far, he has harvested about 54 tons of the 10-acre farm.
Yeah, you know, previously we were harvesting around maybe 10-15 tons because of the disease, the BBS disease, from the same place. So if now we are going beyond 50-55, I think that's the achievement that so far they've helped us to do. At least this year, I hope we will be making around maybe 30,000-40,000 from here, a profit.
About 30 minutes drive from Mr. Sapon's farm is another 20-acre for 69-year-old Matthew Kenneth Adum. Although Mr. Adum has not yet harvested his mango fruits, all evidence shows that there has been a larger improvement than in previous years. Hussein Inusa serves as a supervisor.
Since we started this farming spree, I think the farmer has been harvesting about 1.3 ton per acre. But since we started spraying for this farmer, 2017-2018, I think he's now harvested about 5 ton per acre.
You're live on Joy News today. That's some good news coming in from the mango farmers in the Bono East region. Coming up in business, government advances $200 million to ECG to improve its market offering. Daryl Kwao tells us why that is the key business story for the hour after this.
Hi, good afternoon and welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Government says it has advanced about $200 million to the Electricity Company of Ghana to improve its market offering. It has already settled the debt owed the company, including the 2.63 billion cedis inherited on assumption of office. The Deputy Minister of Energy, Joseph Kudjo, disclosed this information to Joy Business at the 4th edition of the Ghana Energy Awards organized in Accra. There's more in this report.
The Deputy Energy Minister also told Joy Business that ECG's coffers holds a credit balance of 500 million cedis. This, he says, forms part of government's efforts to address the woes of the sector.
Indebtedness has been settled and a credit balance of 500 million Ghana cedis paid to ECG. So on that footing, which had become a burden for the utility, national utility ECG, this made it possible for ECG to operate soundly and to make sure that it's always continuing to supply us with electricity. And in addition, $200 million have been provided approved for ECG to replace its obsolete equipment.
When was this approved?
Just about a month ago or so. Yeah. Okay. So all these efforts.
Chairman of the GEA awarding panel, Dr. Kwame Ampofo, noted that the choice of theme for the event, Excelling in Crisis, the energy sector in the COVID-19 era, was to highlight the performance of businesses in the energy sector amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
This theme was chosen after careful deliberation by the Awards Directorate together with the awarding panel. Our choice of theme is to throw light on the difficult and uncertain physical, emotional, and traumatic environment caused by COVID-19 that businesses, including the energy sector, have had to contend with to get our country going.
That definitely is Mr. Kweku Awotri. Please do one more big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Lifetime Achievement Award was bestowed on Kweku Ando Awotri, board chairman of the Volta River Authority and the Multimedia Group.
I served with him on the board of the Volta River Authority, and he asked me to receive this on his behalf. And I'm very, very happy to be part of this auspicious occasion, and the message will be sent directly to him. Thank you very much for the honor done, Mr. Kweku Awotri, who thoroughly deserves this acclamation. Thanks a lot.
Other awards include the Outstanding Initiative to the Private Sector Fund and Exemplary Leadership Awards that went to Senyo Hosi, among others.
Now, Business Development Minister Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal has revealed that processes are underway to introduce a startup bill that will create a conducive environment for small businesses in the country. Interacting with the media after the 3rd Ghana Business Awards, he noted that the bill, when passed into law, will exempt startup businesses from paying taxes for up to 8 years. Here's more.
The startup bill, according to the minister, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, will not only boost the growth of small businesses, but also make entrepreneurship more attractive to the youth, thereby broadening the nation's economy.
In the next few weeks, we are going to present a bill to Cabinet, a startup bill, where this bill will seek to provide tax credit, tax holiday for startups up to 8 years. So I want startups, when you start a business for 8 to 10 years, you not pay taxes. Essence to encourage young people to grow, plow back the business, profit, and expand the business.
Talking about this startup bill, at what stage is it now, and what informed your decision to come up with this bill?
We say in Ghana, the small businesses constitute about 80% of it, and they contribute about 65% to GDP. But the startup economy is not the best in this country. One business startup, they don't last. The statistics show that only 50% of businesses go beyond their founders, and it's very bad. It means that out of every 100 businesses, only 15 survive when the founders exit either death or retirement. This is not good.
Speaking on government's plan for small and medium enterprises amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Awal disclosed SME's mobile clinic will be introduced to visit and educate all operators across the country.
Because of the pandemic, we are going to start what we call the mobile SME clinic, where we'll send mobile business support services to all SMEs in the country. The first 3 months, targeting 1 million SMEs, build their capacity so that they can get back to business, create jobs for the young people. We intend to generate about 10 billion cedis from this mobile clinic, because if we give these startups the training, marketing, pitching, branding, financial management, etc., they will to bounce back and create jobs for the people. So I want to urge everybody that when this mobile SME clinic comes, please patronize them. Already under the CARES program, government is providing over 2 billion cedis.
All right, events are taking place across the country this week to mark Farmers' Day. Anas Abid joins us live from the Techiman Methodist Church Park, where this year's Farmers' Day celebration is underway. That's in the Bono East region. Anas. Hi, Anas. What can you report from there? What's happening where you are, Anas?
Hello, Daryl.
Can you hear me?
Currently, we are
So Asamoah Gyan is back in the Ghana Premier League, which kicks off November 13th and will be building up to that as well. Up next is the GPL Prime Asante Kotoko edition, which comes off this Friday. So do keep an eye out on the Joy Sports team. But let's now move to some tennis, where the McDan Foundation training matches, and to be more specific, Shika Makole defeated Tracy Amper of your Goldfields Tennis Club 4-6, 7-5, 6-1 to be crowned champions of the girls under 14 singles category. Now, Abubakar Yakubu and Joseph Koku Do Ajani were also victors of their respective categories. Joy Sports' Mishai Ikweno has the rest of the story.
The final rounds of games of the McDan tennis training matches were played on Saturday. Joseph Koku Do Ajani defeated Aaron Ama of the Accra Stadium Tennis Club 6-2, 6-0 to be crowned winner of the boys under 14 singles category. Donatus Nyamba piped Godfred Ofori to the title in the boys under 12 singles after a 6-1, 6-1 win in 2 straight sets. In the girls under 14 singles, Doris Ajokache secured victory after overcoming Alice Achampon 6-3, 6-3 in 2 straight sets. Nashika Makole secured her first tennis title after beating highly rated Tracy Amper 4-6, 7-5, 6-1 in a very competitive contest, while Abubakar Yakubuli beat Lamek Bagabase to emerge champion of the boys under 16 category. Jefta Ninoy Doona was adjudged the discovery of the tournament.
Well, that's how we'll be wrapping up the sports here. You can head on to my Joy Online page /sports to get the latest, and especially the one on the series that we're doing. That's the Black Stars 10 series, which is outdooring our best 10 players in the past 20 years. So you do want to find out who number 10 is. It's been released on the website. My name is Ore Kwampofo, and that's the sports for now.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News today. Now, dancehall act Shatta Wale has advised that gospel musicians learn to be patient and wait on God for breakthroughs. In a recent interview, the dancehall musician recounted how he had to wait on God for 10 years for his breakthrough. Thus, gospel musicians must emulate the same.
But I think the gospel artists themselves, Andy, I would say, well. Yes, because if they believe in God, and the things God can do, I swear. But what I want people to understand is that God is the type of man that when you tell him to do something now, he has already started like working on your things. But when you tell him now, the haste and the speed that he will use, and you won't understand. But patience is man's problem. We can't hide anything from him under the sun. So if gospel artists will believe that nyame boame na me no mo hitting ko amanone na nkofo hu me say the way I was Shatta Wale no, don't use my name, but nyame shawo to say the way we share nkofo Bible we talk about Solomon, David. God put certain people on their thrones just by himself. Nobody put them there. It was God. If gospel artists can also have that belief. But you see, the world has gone tend to into technology so much that who say no, but be yourself. If you're gospel, just be yourself. The God that you believe in. Let us hear it in your song. Remember to Kasanchinyumbia atamfo pese mento atamfo bia mpese untofo